I'm going to try and keep it to 30 minutes, but I do tend to talk a lot. So Debbie, if I start running over, just let me know and I'll roll it back.
I'll jump in if I'll watch the clock. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So thank you so much for inviting me here today. My name is Vanessa Dubuisson, and I'm the Senior Account Manager here at Crowdfunder. My role is basically to oversee the delivery of the contracts that we have with our funding partners. So for example, I manage the relationship between Crowdfunder and around 15 other funding bodies on our platform, and that includes East Sussex County Council. We partnered with the council in 2018 to bring the crowdfunding programme to the residents of East Sussex, and that's what I'll be taking you through today. So I have a 30-minute presentation where I'll introduce Crowdfunder, talk a little bit about how it works, and then I'll start talking about our extra funding that's available, and that will include the Crowdfund East Sussex programme. And then I'll talk a little bit about what support is available, and I think there's a Q&A at the end as well, after my 30 minutes. So before we get stuck into how the platform works, I just wanted to have a look at crowdfunding and what it actually is. So I know there's a lot of people on here that may already know what it is, but for those who don't, I've taken this explanation or this description from the UK Crowdfunding Authority website. So crowdfunding is a way of raising finance by asking a large number of people for a small amount of money. So traditionally, when you finance a project, you're asking a few people for lots of money, but crowdfunding switches that around. And then on top of that, uses the internet to talk to your networks, thousands, if not millions of potential funders. And I will say that it's a way, because it may not be for everybody, but once we've gone through it, and once we've answered some of the questions, then maybe you'll have a better idea towards the end. So Crowdfunder UK, we are an online platform that allows you to raise money for your idea. And our main purpose is to help bring projects to life that tackle society's challenges. And so we're constantly looking for projects that can make a big difference within the local community. But in terms of who can crowdfund on our platform, we don't actually restrict anyone. So we do have measures in place to ensure that projects are genuine, and we will remove projects that we think are offensive or violent. Otherwise, we are open to everyone. So charities, sports, food and drink, you may even want to, crowdfund for arts or publishing. So we do all of that, and everybody's welcome. So far at Crowdfunder, we've raised around £130 million, and we see up to 200 projects a day. So our team are quite well acquainted with what works and what doesn't work. And so hopefully they'll be able to pass that knowledge on to you if you choose to access some of our support. Also, I wanted to talk about different types of crowdfunding. I think when I came into the call, I heard something around community shares. So that does happen on our platform, but we focus mostly on rewards. So there's donation-based crowdfunding, which is basically asking for money, and that's absolutely fine. Whereas rewards-based crowdfunding is more around asking for something and then giving something in return, whether that's an experience or a thank you. We just find that it's the most effective way of raising money from your networks. In terms of what it may be able to bring to your organization, we found that it brings validation, particularly for our funding partners. So if you have lots of people pledging on your project, then it demonstrates that you have a crowd, and even subsequent supporters who might not know you personally will feel a lot more confident about pledging to your project. It also brings awareness. So if there are people in your local area that may not be familiar with what you do, this type of activity will bring greater awareness, and also to people further afield as well. Also, there's advocacy. So you might find people who want to talk about your project, or people who might reach out to offer their time through volunteering or in-kind gifts, for example. And also our platform does offer extra funding, which I'll come on to a little bit later, but we do give you access to national and local funds. So for example, as I've mentioned, Sport England or Aviva or East Sussex County Council. So just have a look at what's involved in crowdfunding. Some people think that it's just about having a really nice idea, putting it up on the internet, and then it just magically gets funded. And that might happen for a few people, but in the majority of cases, and in my case as well, that doesn't happen. There is a bit of work to do. So let's have a look and see what we think makes a good crowdfunding campaign. So the first step we advise is that you create your unique project on Crowdfunder. So just explaining your idea, setting a target, setting a deadline as well. That's really important. Then you want to spread the word to your friends and contacts, people in your community, telling everybody you know and asking them to spread the word as well. And this is where you're going to draw people to your page to make a donation or pledge money in return for a reward. And hopefully once your project finishes, then you're able to actually deliver on what you have, on the rewards that you've offered. The 3 steps to success that we have is planning your project, creating your project, and running your project. They really are 3 distinct phases, and they are very necessary to making a successful campaign. So the first step, which is planning your project, we advise that you build a team of people, or it could be 1 or 2 people. We ask that you identify your audience. So who do you think may want to give money to your project? How will you communicate with those people? And then building a plan, a 4-week plan. We recommend that you run your crowdfund campaign in 4 weeks. And then delegate responsibilities to your team, to the people who will be helping you make this happen. Then in creating your project, you want to add it to our website using images, video, and story. I think a good story is basically what draws people in and what makes them want to pledge. If it's clear what you're doing and you can show your passion and you can show and use emotive language, then I think it's probably the best way of getting people to, or selling people and getting them to buy into your idea. And lastly, running your project, what you want to do is, and I think a lot of people forget about this, is that once you set your project live, there is still work to do. So, you know, implementing whatever plans you have, whether that's posting on social media, sending out emails, knocking on doors, starting conversations. You just want to maintain that activity throughout the 4 weeks that you're running your project for, or 6 weeks. And you just want to drive that activity to your page. And so it is an ongoing process until you've closed. I wanted to show you this because this is actually quite a key part of planning. It's what we call a network map. It's a really good place to start when you're planning your project. So this basically maps out all the possible supporters within your own network. So for example, your friends, your family, your team. And then you also want to think about reaching out to people beyond that. So using even their networks to reach out to their audiences. It's also really great to have when you're running your project. New possibilities may arise. So you might find that the press may become interested, or you might get new partners, new individuals or organizations who might be interested in your project. And then you may want to think about what networks they have and how you can get them to spread the word within their own networks. We've also identified a few skills that you're going to need. So you're going to need somebody who's going to be leading on the crowdfund campaign, somebody who might be good at writing, someone who might be good at social media. It could be 1 person, it could be 2 people, but ultimately, you know, once you have, I mean, we have enough support, I feel, to empower people within your own groups or within your own teams. So you might think that you don't have much video or film experience, but if you have a phone or somebody who does have a phone, then you could just use your mobile phone really to gather, you know, bits of people, beneficiaries that might be interested in your project. You might want to get them to say a few words and then add that to the site. That really helps if people can see other people talking about your project in a positive way. Our platform does actually take you through 7 basic steps, or 8 basic steps if you're going for additional match funding. So we take you through the process step by step. There's support at each stage. There's a mini video to help you through it, and also some documents to help you plan and create your project. If you're running a community project, there is an option to apply for match funding, and our system will let you know what funds you may be eligible for. As a platform, we do also have fees, so it's important that when you're setting your target, you take into account the fees that we have on our platform. So we take 3% for our support in providing the platform, the coaching, etc. And also there is a transaction fee if you have when you have people pledging using their card, and there's a 5% fee on the extra funding. So in all, we just say try to, when you're setting your target, account for that 5% fee that will come away from your project, so that you have what you need for your project, but then you also have the fees separate. Unsuccessful projects, if you're on there and your project is unsuccessful, we don't take any fees or anything like that. And also, if it is a personal project and you're not going for extra funding, that is also free as well. So I really wanted to get to the extra funding and what's on offer with East Sussex. So we have a number of funding partners on our platform that will match fund your project if you meet the criteria. So as I've mentioned, there are national funds such as Sport England, and they run on our platform, and obviously they pledge on projects that are related to sports. They have their own separate criteria that you can view in our platform. And if you're eligible, they'll match up to 50% of your project target. And that's the same for Crowdfund East Sussex. Oh, no, sorry. Technical difficulties. Can you see my screen? Yeah, great. Thanks. I can see you, Debbie. Let's get to where we were just now. Right. So Crowdfunder are in East Sussex, helping to make ideas happen through a combination of expert crowdfunding coaching and events. So under the East Sussex programme, there are a series of webinars that run throughout the year to help you with crowdfunding. And we also have a host of other supportive materials as well to help you crowdfund. Also, there's a possible match fund of up to 2,500 available from the Building Stronger Communities Fund. So hopefully you can see this screen. So if you look here, I'll also send this link around. You'll be able to see obviously that we're currently in purdah, so there is that the fund will reopen after the May elections, but I feel like that gives you enough time to decide whether or not crowdfunding is for you, and it also gives you an opportunity to access support that is available if you want to go down this road, if you want to use crowdfunding as a way of funding your project. And when you scroll down the page, we've actually kept the criteria on there as well, so that you can actually read through it, have a look and see whether or not you might be eligible. So I've actually put it into here, so it's a bit more straightforward for you. So your project will have to address key themes. The first theme is the inclusion of people who have been previously excluded from community. Or your project has to bring different groups together across cultures, ages, or any other diverse groups. It will also need to, or may also need to, empower people and communities by drawing on their strengths to participate in community activities. So it's very broad, it's very open, and you can speak to us about whether or not you think your project actually matches any one of these. but it's quite open, and East Sussex are quite open to see projects coming through from the local community. In terms of the essential criteria, it must benefit people. So your project has to benefit people who are living or working in East Sussex. It should be a not-for-profit organisation that's based in East Sussex with an annual income of less than 200,000. So we're really looking for smaller not-for-profit organisations. It should be creative and engaging. Your project should develop community facilities or community activities. It should support the themes outlined, previously outlined on the previous slide. You must also demonstrate that you have strong local support, and we'll come to that shortly. And you must also agree to the terms and conditions. So the terms and conditions refer to the spending and making sure that you've spent the money on what you said you would spend it on, and then following up with any information that you have on the delivery of your project. That's the very simplified version of terms and conditions, but we do encourage you to read them before making your application. So just to have a look at how the match funding works for people. So the BSC fund, the Building Stronger Communities Fund from East Sussex County Council, will fund up to 50% of your project target if you match their criteria. And that's up to a maximum pledge of 2,500. So for example, if you are crowdfunding and your target is 1,000, then the council may pledge up to 500. If your target is 5,000, then the council may pledge up to 2,500. So it's 50% of whatever your target is. But let's say, for example, you go over that 5,000 mark, and let's say your target is 10,000. The maximum pledge would be 2,500. So hopefully that kind of clarifies things a little bit. Now, I just wanted to move on to demonstrating support from the crowd and how you would demonstrate that support and how the fund would want you to demonstrate that support. They will be expecting you to crowdfund the first 25% of your target from 25 unique supporters. And what that means is, for example, if your target is 1,000, they are expecting you to crowdfund the first £250 from 25 unique supporters. And unique supporters basically means 25 individuals. So let's say, for example, I pledged on your project twice, and I do pledge on projects, then I would still be counted as one unique supporter. So it's really important to understand that. Once you've met the criteria, you have raised your first 25% from your crowd, the Building Stronger Communities Fund will then demonstrate their support by adding their 50% to your project. And what's important to note here is that obviously if they've pledged their 50% and you still haven't got to, let's say, for example, that 1,000, you do need to continue crowdfunding until you get to your target. So hopefully that explains everything. So let's go into what support is available under the programme. So we do have online guides and courses available. The programme also runs webinars, as I mentioned, throughout the year that you can sign up for free. There may also be one-to-one coaching available as well. If the fund feel that you have a great idea and that you need extra support, then they will refer you to our coaching team, and you'll get a call from our coaching team who will be able to help you with the process. We also have a customer support team. So if you have any technical difficulties or anything at all, you can call to our customer support team and they'll put you through to the right person or answer your question. We also have personalized email advice. So we do send you emails throughout your journey to help you along with your crowdfund campaign. And then we give you some live project analytics as well that will help you to see how your project is going, and that would be available on your dashboard when you sign up to the site. We do also have a couple of other things that aren't mentioned here. We have a free Facebook course. It's about, I think it's about 2 weeks. It runs for 2 weeks. The next one is in June. You sign up and then you're added to a Facebook group where there will be other people also wishing to crowdfund, where you can share ideas. And our coaching team are also on that group, and they will give you some advice and answer any questions that you might have as well. Lastly, we also have our extra fund match officer, Caroline. This is where I'm going to go slow in a minute when I give the email address. But what Caroline does is she can actually help you with your application, and she can help you with whether or not you meet the criteria, and how you might want to demonstrate that in the application if you do go for extra funding on our platform. Hopefully Debbie will send this email around to you, but I want to give it to you now. So I'm just going to read it out. So it's Caroline, CAROLINE at Crowdfunder, crowdfunder.co.uk. So that's Caroline at crowdfunder.co.uk. And she can actually help you with the application process. If you want to talk to me, my name is Vanessa, and it follows the same format. So it's Vanessa, which is VANESSA at crowdfunder.co.uk.